Chosen ones, have you ever wondered what not to do with photos of people who have already passed away? This topic may seem small, but it carries a huge energetic and emotional weight. Many people keep, publish, or even manipulate these images without realizing the impact this has on the environment, on mourning, and on the spiritual journey itself. Photos are not just visual memories. They carry affective charge, vibrational memory, and for the more sensitive, even spiritual connection. That's why the way we handle these images can feed peace or perpetuate pain. What seems simple can trap your soul in the past and hinder the flow of life. Today we will talk about 5 things you should never do with photos of people who have died. It's not superstition nor fear. It's care with the invisible, respect for the memory of those who departed, and protection for you who continue your mission here. Each point comes with practical and spiritually safe alternatives. If you miss someone, if you are in mourning, or if you simply want to honor memory with awareness, this video is for you. The aim is not to scare you, but to free you from guilt, excess, and emotional imbalance that often arise disguised as homage. I am George, and here we speak of practical spirituality, sensitive and without fantasies. If this content has already made sense to you, subscribe to the channel now. This helps us bring this message to more chosen ones. Let's learn together to remember without clinging, and to love without weighing down. Posting photos of someone who has died may seem like an act of love, but when done without discernment, it becomes exposure. Mourning is sacred. Pain cannot become content. In the haste to pay tribute, many end up handing something intimate to the cold judgment of social networks, and what was meant to be love becomes a spectacle. The internet is not a neutral place. When you post an image of someone who has already departed, you open a public portal. This attracts all kinds of comments, from sincere messages to disrespectful curiosities. The photo becomes a showroom, and the sacred memory mixes with noise and distraction. The chosen ones know, mourning does not need a stage. Before posting, stop and reflect. Would that person like to be remembered like this? Would the family approve this publication? Is the moment truly appropriate? Posting on impulse can reopen wounds in those who are still dealing with absence. And instead of comforting, it can cause revolt, sadness, or discomfort. If you still decide to publish, do it with respect. Choose a photo that conveys lightness. Avoid exaggerated filters or emotive montages. Use words of gratitude, not please. A simple caption can be enough. Gratitude for everything. Your light remains in me. May you rest in peace. I go on as well. Clarity, love, and discretion always work better. Be careful with dates such as death anniversaries. Repeating posts every year can keep the emotional house stuck in the past. Memory becomes a ritual of suffering. Prefer silent actions. Cook something the person liked. Make a donation in their name. Light a candle with intention. These tributes don't need likes to be real. Avoid turning mourning into a cycle of exposure. Every time the photo appears, the pain is reactivated. The soul feels it. And the home environment also changes. Remember that the peace of memory is more important than any visibility. To honor is to preserve. It is knowing when to withdraw the image to allow the heart to breathe. If a friend posts photos without permission, breathe before reacting. Instead of hurting in silence, speak with kindness. Explain that that image carries deep emotions and that you would like it removed. Those who love understand. Those who respect welcome. Protect the sacred space that memory occupies in your chest. The chosen ones recognize the value of silence. Not everything needs to be shared. Sometimes the most alive memory is the one kept in a photograph frame in the corner of the room, beside a flower and a prayer. The image that consoles does not need to circulate. It simply exists there, in peace. True love does not need proof. The best tribute is to live well, with dignity, with gratitude, with purpose. The memory of the other flourishes when you transform pain into action and longing into living presence. Taking care of the image is taking care of the soul of the one who left, and of your own as well. When someone passes away, it is natural for the heart to want to maintain some kind of contact. The physical absence hurts, and longing asks for a way to stay close. Many people, without realizing, end up using the photo as a direct connection point. They place it by the bed, light candles, speak aloud, wait for answers, record videos, repeat questions. These gestures stem from love, but also from despair. The problem is that instead of healing, they open emotional breaches. And where there is want, there is imbalance. The mind begins to confuse imagination with reality. The spiritual environment becomes heavy. The body reacts with fatigue. The house takes on a dense atmosphere, and the soul feels that something is stuck. The chosen ones know that true love does not imprison. It allows going. The photo of someone who has died is not a channel of communication nor a mystical portal. It is a memory, a symbol of affection, an anchor of memory, not a tool of evocation. Trying to hold on to what has passed releases energy of attachment, and attachment paralyzes both the one who left and the one who stayed. Improvised rituals, without energetic preparation, without spiritual guidance, are dangerous. Even when done with good intentions, they end up mixing longing with control. And in this effort to call the other, you distance yourself from the natural process of mourning. Instead of liberating, it traps. Instead of honoring, it manipulates. And the pain prolongs unnecessarily. There are lighter ways to deal with longing. Take the photo with care. Look into the eyes of the image and say, "I am grateful for the life we shared. I receive your light. I release your departure. May you rest in peace. I rest in peace as well." Then breathe deeply. Store the photo in a serene and quiet place. The farewell made with love is stronger than any plea for a return. On days when longing tightens, turn the impulse into a gesture. Write a letter with everything that was held back, then tear it up or burn it with the intention of healing. Step outside, walk with your feet on the earth, speak in silence. I release you with love. This is an act of spiritual maturity. It does not require a stage, it only requires truth. If you have a dream about the person, receive it as a gift, not as a mandatory sign. Upon waking, write it down with gratitude and say softly, "I welcome you with affection. Now I move forward with lightness." Do not try to repeat the dream. Do not go to sleep expecting a visitation. Let the presence come when the time is right, not when your anxiety asks. The attempt to hold the invisible creates subtle disturbance. The environment begins to carry weight. Sleep does not rest. The mind spins. Emotions become denser. Children and the elderly sense it before adults. If the house feels heavier than light, perhaps what you call love has become resistance to the departure. The chosen ones do not confuse spirituality with possessiveness. They learn to love without keeping. They know the soul that has left feels it when remembered with gratitude. And when the bond is light, it returns it with peace. You do not need to ask questions of the photo every day. You only need to live with truth and honor with actions. Transform your connection with the departed into concrete actions. A silent prayer, a donation in the person's name, a loving gesture to someone in need. The energy of release sustains far more than any attempt at forced contact. You do not need to call. Love is already there. It only changes form. Those who love, let go. Those who trust, do not insist. Those who honor, move forward with a calm heart. Pain becomes longing. Longing becomes remembrance. And remembrance, when lived with wisdom, becomes a blessing. This is the crossing for the chosen ones. Walking with love, without chains, and trusting that what is light always remains. When a loved one passes away, the impulse to keep their memory alive is natural. We want to feel that their presence is still nearby. However, turning this memory into objects of constant use, such as mugs, t-shirts, keychains, or paintings in every room, can do the opposite of what we imagine. Instead of honoring, it can imprison. Missing them in this case becomes decoration, and the absence becomes part of the routine with no space to rest. What was supposed to be memory becomes permanent exposure. Little by little, the pain stops healing because it is always being touched. And what seemed to be affection reveals an emotional imbalance, which we call tribute, to avoid facing. There is a real risk in the banalization of these memories. When we place the image of someone who has left in everything, mementos, freebies, clothes, or objects, we are often turning something sacred into consumption. Even without the intention of profit, the act of repeating that image everywhere reduces its symbolic power. The memory becomes an object. The heart becomes confused. It starts to believe that the presence of that person depends on what is material. This makes healthy detachment difficult. Missing becomes attachment, and attachment paralyzes. In children, this effect is even more delicate. They may grow up believing that losing someone is something that must be reproduced in mass to not disappear. Another point that requires care is the digital manipulation of photos and voices. There are apps that recreate speech, make a person blink or smile, or simulate conversations. At first glance, this can be moving, but deep down, it is an illusion. The mind may smile, but the soul feels the emptiness, because something in us knows it is not real. Using these tools during mourning can deeply delay the process of release. Instead of accepting the departure, the person creates a bond with a simulation, and that simulation never satisfies. It only prolongs the pain. Mourning, when interrupted by fantasies, ceases to be a passage and becomes an invisible prison. The chosen ones know that true memories do not need tricks to remain. They live in present-day actions. A gesture of generosity, a word that echoes, a silence full of meaning. The strongest memory is not the one hanging on the wall, but the one that becomes choice, posture, interior change. If you want to keep a photo, choose only one, a luminous image from a time of joy. Print it carefully. Write behind it 3 words of gratitude. Keep it in a calm place in the house where the energy is peace, not pain. That's enough. Memory doesn't need to be loud to be real. When sharing with family, be discreet. Avoid assembling memory kits. Prefer to hand over simple copies, along with a letter or a note highlighting the person's qualities, happy moments, lessons learned. Honor the legacy, not the wound. Remember the story without weight, without making pain the center of the conversation. And if longing tightens, turn it into a gesture. Say a short prayer, plant a flower, donate something in the person's name. Sit in silence and say, I carry you with me, with lightness. The deeper connection is the one that sets you free. True love does not need to be reenacted to continue existing. The chosen ones do not relive the past. They honor it. They do not build monuments to absence, but new steps based on what they lived. Memory should not occupy life's place. It should inspire the path. This is how love continues, without dependence, without spectacle, and with all the dignity that the departed deserves. Harnessed attachment dressed as love is one of the quietest traps of mourning. Sometimes, without realizing it, we turn memories into chains. The house fills with photos, objects, repeated phrases, as if presence could be recreated by repetition. But what seems like a tribute may actually be fear of moving on. Keeping photo frames in every room, talking daily with the image, sleeping with the deceased person's belongings next to the bed. All of this can indicate that mourning has stalled in time. And when mourning stagnates, life stops too. The environment, which should be welcoming, becomes a memorial. The home becomes a memory frozen in the past. This is not strength. This is not care. It is a way of telling yourself, I still don't know how to live without this person. And it's okay to feel that. What we cannot do is make pain a permanent altar. The soul of the departed does not want to be trapped in our longing. It wants to move on, and it wants you to move on too. Do a perceptual exercise. Walk through the house and observe where the photos are. See how many provoke deep sadness, immediate crying, or guilt. If there are many, perhaps it's time to collect some. Not to forget, but to free. Choose one or two images that bring you peace and place them in a calm corner, with a flower or a candle. This simple gesture begins to change the room's vibration. The house's energy breathes again. You move from a memorial mode to a life mode. And this is not disrespect. This is love in motion. It's understanding that the most powerful presence is the one that lives inside you, not on the walls. Turn longing into action. Cook the person's favorite dish and offer it to someone in need. Recall one of their qualities and practice it for 7 days. Tell a child something nice that they did. Do not wait for anniversaries. The most beautiful tribute is the one made with a light heart, without obligation or weight. Write about this person whenever you want, but publish only when the intention is gratitude, not desperation. Speaking of pain before healing can contaminate others. Wait until love organizes inside you and becomes a good word, a noble gesture, a remembrance that does not cut, but warms. And if the pain persists, do not carry this alone. Mourning needs listening. Seek therapeutic help, support groups, spiritual mentors, mature friends. Speaking liberates. Sharing opens inner space. Sometimes all the heart needs is to know it is not alone on this journey. The chosen ones do not deny mourning. They look at it with courage. They feel, they cry, but they do not drown. Because they know true love does not imprison, suffocate, or demand that you stay stuck in time. True love pushes you toward life, even with longing. It becomes inner presence, not outer weight. When we say go in peace, we are also saying, I accept to move on. And that is liberating. It's like opening a window in the dark room of the soul. The light enters, the air changes, and suddenly, what was a tear becomes strength. What was longing becomes legacy, and what was pain becomes direction. Chosen ones. Every object carries energy, and photos are no different. When we talk about images of people who have already departed, we are dealing with something even more sensitive. The living memory of a soul that has crossed to the other side. Therefore, the place where this photo is kept matters a lot. It can pacify or disturb. Storing photos among clutter, old papers, broken objects, or disorganized drawers creates an energetic field of disorder. The image that should represent peace becomes a weighty symbol. The home begins to carry a low vibration without anyone noticing. The environment becomes denser, the air heavier, sleep more agitated. Everything starts speaking without words. Avoid leaving photos of the deceased in places like the garage, bathrooms, messy closets, or high-traffic hallways where there is a lot of movement and little attention. These are places where energy is accelerated or confused. The image of the loved one deserves to rest where there is calm, silence, and dignity. Remembrance needs presence and respect, not rushing or forgetting. Another care is the headboard of the bed. Many leave photos there as a way to feel proximity before sleep, but this practice can generate insomnia, rumination, and emotional agitation at night. The sleep environment must be clean, free, and light. The memory can manifest in other forms. Good dreams, gentle sensations, when there is peace in the environment. The ideal is to create a small point of harmony. A clean, bright, organized place. It can be a bookshelf, a shelf, or a simple altar. A candle lit from time to time, a natural flower, a stone that brings serenity. Nothing in excess, just enough to remember with love and move forward with lightness. This is the path of balance. Very old photos with serious faces or moments of farewell tend to carry more sadness than peace. Prefer happy images, true smiles, moments that represent life, not loss. This changes the vibration. What you look at every day shapes the emotional atmosphere of the home. The chosen ones take care of this detail with care and awareness. If there are children in the house, attention must be redoubled. Children perceive energies more intensely. If they are exposed to too many images of farewell, mourning, or pain, they can absorb emotions they cannot process. Prefer presenting the story of the departed with naturalness and few photos, in contexts of gratitude, not repeated sadness. Also remember to periodically review the objects around the image. If they have dust, mold, dirt, or are broken, all of this interferes with the space's vibration. Do a small cleaning regularly. Wipe with a damp cloth infused with gentle herbs, such as lavender or chamomile. Open the window. Let the sun in. The environment thanks you and returns in the form of peace. The chosen ones know. What remains alive is not the image, but the essence. And this essence can be in a gaze, in a generous choice, in a silence loaded with good longing. Take care of the photo's place, but above all, take care of the inner space where memory lives. Let there be light, gratitude, and freedom there. Chosen ones. Throughout this content, we have seen 5 attitudes that we should avoid with photos of people who have already departed. They are not hard rules nor judgments. They are warnings to preserve the emotional, energetic, and spiritual health of those who remained, and also the dignity of those who continued their journey on another plane. Exposing without discernment, evoking without preparation, marketing, feeding sick attachment, and keeping in places of low vibration are common practices, but they generate silent consequences. They trap mourning, keep pain active, and block peace. It's not about forgetting. It's about remembering in the right way, with balance, lightness, and love. The Chosen One's protocol is not complicated. It starts with a simple choice: to have few images, but rich in meaning. 102 photos with serene expression, kept in a place of peace, not in pain, not in exposure, not in haste. A clean space, without excesses, where memory becomes blessing, not an open wound. As you look at the image, say with your heart, "I am grateful. I learn from your light. I move on in peace." These words work as a bond of love that does not tighten. They embrace longing and at the same time open space for life to continue. When love liberates, it remains. When mourning flows, the soul grows stronger. If you decide to publish a photo, think with care. Ask yourself, is there the family's permission? Is the moment appropriate? Does the text bring peace or need? Use words of gratitude, never pleas or dramatizations. If a memory tightens your chest, do not expose, recollect. Wait for the pain to subside. Pain is not a compass, peace is. If the house feels heavy, reorganize. Remove excess, clean the spaces, refresh the air. Bring a simple flower, a natural stone, a candle lit with gratitude intentions. The energy changes, the environment aligns. Memory begins to shine without hurting. It is in this moment that mourning transforms into strength. When longing becomes too strong, transform it into action. Serve someone in the name of the departed. Do something they would do. Teach someone what you learned from them. Write about their light, not about their absence. This is living love. This is spiritual heritage. This is true tribute. Always remember, photos are bridges, not chains. They exist to help you cross, not to hold you in the middle of the path. Do not use the image as an anchor. Use it as direction. What the person left in you is more important than what left with them. The chosen ones do not bargain with absence. They bless the crossing. They know that true love does not need to be kept by objects or rituals. It simply needs to be lived. The best tribute was never to hold back. It has always been to live with dignity, gratitude, and purpose. Where there is release, there is peace. Where there is peace, memory shines without wounding. And where memory shines, life blossoms again.